Last week, I was able to go down to EA Sports and play College Football 26 early. So in this video, I'm going to give you all the details you need to know. I'm going to give you my hands-on impressions and what I experienced while playing the game. This is going to mostly be centered around gameplay and some presentation things that I experienced while playing, because I can't really speak too much on the game modes and other stuff yet, because EA did want us to wait until the deep dives for those modes come out. Now, they have revealed some information on that on their website already, so you guys have a decent idea of what's coming for Dynasty and Road to Glory, but I will say all of the finer details and the little things that they added, they didn't really reveal all of that just yet, and I think you guys will be pretty happy when those deep dives come out. Now, I'm not sure exactly when those deep dives are rolling out. I know they're going to all come out before the release of this game, but they're a little behind schedule on it, I believe, so they're going to be packing a lot of information into a short amount of time when they do drop. I don't know the dates just yet, but they will be coming soon. But if you don't want to miss out on any of that deep dive information or the gameplay videos when they drop, make sure to subscribe and turn the bell icon on so you don't miss those videos when I post them. Also, the College Football 26 beta did go live today. There was no signups for it. I don't even know how they're really choosing who gets to play. Some people got emails, some didn't. So check your emails. I don't think it really went out to a whole lot of people. It's kind of vague how they're handling it. I'm not sure if I'm going to have codes to give away. I might not. I can't guarantee it. But if I do get something to give away, I will be doing it on my social platforms here if you want to follow me over there. So let's just start right out the gate. The best way that I can describe the gameplay of this game, if you liked College Football 25's gameplay, there's no reason you shouldn't like 26. You'll probably like it even more. If you were a little bit more on the fence about 25's gameplay just due to certain specific things, then you might like 26 a lot more. If you absolutely hated 25's gameplay, if it was just not your style of game, if you thought it was too fast, the player movement was too quick, then I don't think you're going to really like 26 much more, because 26's gameplay is building off of 25. It feels like College Football 25 with some good improvements made. But if you just didn't like the style of 25 as a whole, I don't really see how 26 would make that much of a difference for you, because it's still going to have the same fast movement, the same snappy feeling. It's really high powered and fast paced. So if that's not kind of the style you like, for example, if you preferred Madden 25's gameplay movement more, because some people do, yeah, College 26 is nothing like that. It's still going to be like 25, but with those improvements added. So let's start off with the wear and tear, because that's something they did mention in their reveal blog, and this is something that they're trying to take a little bit of a step further this year. This was a big feature for them last year. It was something kind of brand new to football gaming altogether, the way they implemented it. And on their website, they specifically said, the advanced wear and tear system delivers more realism and is now fully customizable to fit your playstyle. Manage fatigue strategically and save your favorite playmakers for key moments with dynamic substitutions that allow you to rotate players in and out on the fly. No pause screen needed. So basically, when looking at wear and tear, there's kind of two things this year to think about. Number one, they said it's fully customizable. So now there are settings where you can customize your wear and tear. Now this is really bigger for, I think, like Dynasty players, because if you play online, you can't really ever mess with settings and sliders like that. But if you're playing in Dynasty mode, and I would think this would apply to Road to Glory as well, you can now customize the wear and tear. So if you want the hits to have more of an impact, or if you think, hey, maybe last year they made way too much of an impact, which I would lean that way. I think last year at times wear and tear sometimes was a little too crazy. I think certain body parts were impacted too much for things that were happening on the field. So if you feel that way, you can kind of lower that now. You can customize it to really your liking, which I think is great. I think any feature they put in the game that can have a setting or slider for it, that should be offered, because you should be able to tailor the game exactly how you want it if you're an offline player. So now you can do that with wear and tear. They also did mention that wear and tear now also being more career based, which I think somebody's already put that info out in an article, so that's not really news, even if I maybe shouldn't be talking about that specifically just yet. But it's going to be more career based versus season based, so kind of a little bit more strategy, a little more thought that has to go into your wear and tear. They also did mention that the weather is going to play impacts on wear and tear now as well. And we also saw in the trailer where the QB was kind of like rotating his arm as if his arm was tired. To me, I'm pretty sure this was a new animation. I saw a couple people saying that they've seen this before, and maybe I've seen it too, and it's just one of those things that you kind of forget that you've seen, because it's kind of just something that's in the background almost, in a sense. Like, you're not focused directly on that. You're focused more on playing itself. So maybe that was already there, but I was told that there are more animations for wear and tear, so you're going to see players moving their arms and legs and stuff like that based on injured body parts. I don't know if it's going to be specifically just QBs or if it's going to be other players as well, but there is some more visual work done there. Now that brings us into the substitutions, because that kind of goes along with the wear and tear where they talk about these substitutions on the fly. So now you can substitute on the field. You can press your D-pad and it brings up your roster that's on the field. And if you want to go switch out your running back 1 for your running back 2 or 3, or you notice that your slot receiver is getting really banged up, maybe you've been going to him a lot, you can substitute that slot receiver out and maybe bring in your 4th wide receiver. And basically at the next play, it will substitute those guys out. So you don't have to do it on the play call screen, or maybe if you forgot to do it at the play call screen, you can do it while you're on the field, which I think is cool. Kind of think of NBA 2K. If you've played that, you know that you can like pull up the substitutions while you're on the court, and you can like toggle through and switch players out, and then like at the next time out, it'll switch those players out. Also got to keep in mind Scott O'Gallagher, the head of gameplay, he came from 2K. So he was there, during the time where that was implemented into 2K. He's bringing over some of that good stuff he did with 2K. He's bringing it now to football, which is great. Really quickly before we continue, I do want to shout out today's video sponsor, Underdog. If you like sports and you like winning money, then you've got to be on Underdog playing their pick'em game. Basically, all you have to do is pick higher or lower on player stats, and if they hit, you can win some big money. And if you use my code RAY, R-A-Y, at sign up, they're going to give you up to $1,000 in bonus credit on your first deposit, and they're going to give you a free play. So right now during the NBA Finals, you'll either get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or Tyrese Halliburton to get a single point. That means all they need to do is get 1 point, and that's it. Again, use code RAY for that free play and up to $1,000 in bonus credit at sign up. There are all new archetypes too in the game this year. I don't know all of the specific ones. Some of them have probably been leaked by now, especially with the beta being out. But basically every position has about like 4 to 5 different archetypes. And this doesn't just apply to like skill players. This applies to offensive linemen, D tackles, everybody. So there's so much more customization in what type of player you want to be, maybe in Road to Glory, or the type of players you can be recruiting in your dynasties and stuff like that. So there's a lot more customization there. And the new archetype system, I think they did a pretty good job with this. They've really nailed like all the different types of players you could have at each position. There's also been some good work done with the pocket QB play. I can't get too deep on this just yet because I don't think they've really talked about this in any of their stuff, but there are some different things going on with the pocket and passing lanes and, something they're calling QB vision, and it's not a vision cone, so don't think that. I don't know if they're ever bringing something like that back. It's not that, but there is some definite work done with the pocket and the passing lanes and the vision that your QB has. I think people are really going to like this, but I don't want to go too deep on this yet because I don't know what all has been revealed. Also, this is going to play a big factor for the CPU QBs. Think of the awareness rating, something that's really never mattered much in a lot of these football games from what we can tell. Now, at least for CPU QBs, it's going to matter in how they're seeing the field and their progressions and things like that. Again, trying not to go too deep on this because I think this is one of the few things that isn't really out there too much yet. We will find out more about that in the gameplay deep dive, and I think you guys are going to like that a lot. Another area that they did a ton of work was run blocking. They didn't speak a whole lot on pass blocking when I was down there, but run blocking is kind of something they really overhauled completely, I think, for both games. They want to make it to where you can really get busy between the tackles and that the running lanes make sense. The guy that they got working on this, or a couple guys that got working on this, are guys that were players in the NFL that played in the trenches. So, I mean, they're the right guys to kind of talk about this stuff and build these things out. Run blocking's been one of those things with both Madden and even old college games where sometimes, guys are just passing up the obvious guy that they need to block, or the double team isn't really getting, peeling off to that second level as good as they should. So they did a ton of work with this. I only played the game for a little bit of time. I mean, it felt okay to me, but this is one of those things truly you don't know until you play the game for a while. There's been many years where they say they've overhauled blocking, they've done a lot of work with blocking, and then when the game's out and you play it for about a week or two, you're not really seeing it. It doesn't really look any better. So this is one of those things I can't just confidently say, yes, this is 100% better. The little that I played, it felt fine. It felt like you definitely could get busy running the ball, which is a great thing. They definitely put a ton of work in on this. It's not a lack of effort. How it's going to play out on the field when we're playing this game for long periods of time, that remains to be seen. It just is what it is. We can't really confidently speak on that until the game is out longer. They added, I think they said 2,700 new plays, so even if you just divide that up between all of the team playbooks in the game, that would break down to about 20 new plays per playbook, which is pretty good when you consider there's like 136 playbooks in the game. We all love having new plays. I don't think there's a single person that's going to be against new plays in the game, whether you're an online, competitive, sweaty player or you're a dynasty player. You like having new plays. So, they even mentioned specifically Rice's modern option. They also mentioned some stuff that Penn State runs. I did actually check that out when I played. That stuff looked pretty fun, but there was too many new plays to dive into them all, but we're always a fan of new plays. Always add new plays. That's a good thing. They did bring physics-based tackling to the game. This is something that was new in Madden last year. It was called Boom Tech. And this is the thing. There were some good parts about it in Madden. There were some other parts that weren't polished. And this is what I've learned from EA over the years because I've covered Madden for a long time. Any major gameplay shift that they make is always going to be a little rough in the first year. There's going to be good parts. There's going to be parts that still aren't polished. There's going to be parts that are still janky. In year 2, it gets significantly better. I mean, Madden 19, they introduced real player motion. Wasn't that great that year. In Madden 20, the player movement was much better. They've done this with passing systems over the years. Other times where they've redone tackling and physics in the past, same thing. Always way better in year 2. So I think this is the right time for college to be getting this because it's much more polished, but also, even from talking with Scott down there, he said that, the way the boom tech and things kind of played out last year, as the year went on, he said, he himself specifically, he wasn't completely happy with how that looked, and he said this year he thinks it just looks a ton better, and this is kind of how they really envisioned it going. And I think this is the number one thing. If you're a person that played a lot of this game last year, this should be the number one thing that stands out to you when you play the game this year. The tackling, the physics, the way players are animating and falling after getting hit, the reactions off of these hits, and the way the ball carriers move versus defenders. This should be, in my opinion, the number one thing that stands out to you as improved. Even though they're improving wear and tear and blocking and some of the QB play, I think this is the biggest improvement that kind of jumps off the screen at you. So I'm curious to see how you guys feel about it when you get to play. I do think this is one of the bigger upgrades for the gameplay. Sticking with the defensive side of the ball, one of the bigger things they said was the DB play. You have to see the ball to play the ball. So basically, you really won't be able to get those over-the-shoulder interceptions anymore. And it depends on the type of player you are here, because if you're an online player, you're a competitive type player, you hate this. You see the ball yourself, you want to go get it even if your player's back is turned. If you're a more sim player, you love this, because when do you see a player intercept the ball that he can't see? Now, he can go swat the ball, you can do that, right? Because if you're trailing a receiver, you're going to look at his eyes, you're going to look at when he puts his hands up, you might try to put your hands up and swat it down. You can definitely still do that. That's realistic. But those guys are never going for interceptions because they can't see the ball. So we'll see how this plays out. I mean, like I said, I played the game for a little bit. I didn't get any back-turned interceptions when I played, but one thing you got to realize with EA is there's a lot of updates that happen throughout the year. There's a lot of complaining that happens from people that play the game. So things like this could be adjusted throughout the year. But at the start of the year, you should have to see the ball to actually play the ball. And they said when you see the ball, you will notice that DBs will be more aggressive in attacking the ball that they do see, which is good. We want to see that. But if the back is turned, you got to click on and go for that swat. You're not getting the over-the-shoulder interception. Some other key additions to defense include things like stunts and twists. Finally, we got that back in football gaming, and it's not really a set play that you could do this with. You can change the stunts on any play at the play call screen by holding down one of the buttons. I forget which button it is, and there's a bunch of different stunts and twists. There's like 10 to 15 different ones you can do. I forget the exact number, but you can stunt and twist the line in a bunch of different ways on any play, which is great. The only bad thing that this could open up is somebody might find a way to get a little glitchy with it with a certain play. I can almost guarantee that happens. That's what you're opening yourself up to when you put this in there. Somebody's going to find a way to stunt and twist and get some instant pressure. But if you're more of a dynasty player, a sim player, this is great for you because you just want to be able to kind of get unique and do the things that they would do in real life. They also added custom zones to the game, which is another cool thing as well. I think this is really going to be bigger for the competitive crowd. I don't think for the offline crowd this is going to be as big of a deal. But basically, just think of route stemming last year. That's basically the defense's version of that. You can stem your zone as far back as you want, which is similar to the zone drops that you already have in your coaching adjustments, but this way you can do it individually on the field. So if you're in a Tampa 2 and you want to just drop one of your cloud flats 20 or 30 or 40 yards back for whatever reason because you're worried about a player on that side being on a deep corner route or something, you can just drop that one flat way far back and your other one on the other side of the field will just play at normal depth. So that's a pretty cool feature, but again, I think it's bigger for the competitive crowd. And they also have safety splits this year, which I don't know if they've talked too much about this, but I've definitely seen a bunch of other people talk about it, so I don't think it's news. You can set your safeties to line up certain ways at the play call screen, so you can have them favor the boundary side or the field side. You could have them both line up tight or both spread out wide. So if you're worried about corner routes on each outside of the field or, maybe deep routes down the sideline, you can say, hey, I want both of my safeties to just split out very wide and not give up anything on the sideline, or I want them to come really inside because I'm worried about post routes, or I want them both to line up closer to the line of scrimmage, maybe because you're worried about the run. I think that is a very, very good addition. It's a real football thing too, so we love to see that. Some other things that I noticed while playing, which I think are cool, you'll see the AI on defense actually shift on the field. They won't just shift right out of the huddle. They'll actually, shift their line. And that's something we've seen a lot in real football, how D-lines are kind of shifting at the last second, trying to confuse the offense. You'll see the D-lines actually do that in game now. You'll see safeties and stuff maybe, move around a little bit more pre-snap. So that's cool because you would only really see this in a user versus user game. You wouldn't really see the CPU do this. Now they will. Home field advantage. This is something that is kind of polarizing because at times I'll tell you I hate it, but it's also real football at the end of the day. They've upped the home field advantage. It's going to be even harder than last year. I won't go too specific on all the things. And a big thing that has been put out there by a number of people, this is going to be in online games now too, which I know a lot of people aren't going to like that. But the college team is more on realism, I think, than Madden in the terms of those things where they don't care if people complain about it. If you go online, you're going to have to deal with home field advantage, just like real teams have to deal with home field advantage in big games every year. So it's a polarizing thing, but it's going to be a bigger factor this year. Another small thing, but is also a big thing, they did update the position terminology. They did announce this for Madden. They didn't officially announce it for college, but one of the devs did say it on Twitter already, so it's out there. You're going to have the edge position, the gadget position, all of that stuff, that updated terminology, that's going to be there for college as well. Another thing I noticed while playing is it seemed like the body types are a little bit more accurate. A lot of the QBs last year were really big and bulky for some reason, so I think you'll see less of that. At least when I played, I did. It seems like the guys that are supposed to be more lean look that way this year, which I think is a good visual thing for the game. And then in terms of presentation, this is stuff that I noticed, but also this isn't all like a big secret because they showed a lot of this in the reveal trailer. They did add more team runouts this year, so some of the teams that didn't have their specific ones last year, you're going to see a lot more of those this year in the game. They added a number of new mascots. Again, you see some of these in the trailer, so more teams are going to be even more authentic than they were last year, which just makes the game better because the biggest thing about this game is how accurate things are, is that environment, the pageantry, all of that stuff. So the fact that more teams are going to be even more accurate than they were last year and have these additions is great. I won't spoil this because they didn't touch on this specifically, but there's one mascot that is in the game that I would go out on a limb and say everybody loves this mascot. Every single person loves this mascot. It's a fan favorite. Maybe that's a big enough of a hint as to what mascot it is, but I won't say it. But that mascot is in the game now. Even in the trailer, they showed more band formations when I was playing. I saw this with some of the certain teams. You're going to see more teams do the band stuff instead of like just Ohio State last year. Maybe a couple other teams did, but you'll see it more often. Another thing they showed in the trailer were a ton of new turnover celebrations. I saw a couple of these while I played, but again, all the presentation stuff they had last year, they're just building on top of it. More teams are having more customizations done to make them look like real life. You're going to hear more crowd chants this year than last year. There's obviously more music in the game that was already leaked, like Mr. Brightside from Michigan. There's a ton of new music in the game. So again, kind of repeating myself, but they're piling on top of the good presentation they already had, and they're giving you more stuff from more teams. One that I can say specifically that I did see when I played like South Carolina, they had their intro last year, but it wasn't completely accurate. It was like maybe half accurate. They kind of nailed that one down this year. That's like a good example of like they changed what was wrong about it and made it even 10 times better. So if you're an SC fan, you'll like that. And another big thing that leaked, one of the first things that leaked, everybody kind of knows this by now, but dynamic lighting is in the game. And I don't want to spoil everything on this because I don't want you to think of dynamic lighting as simply just, oh, you start a game at 6, there's light outside, and at the end of the game, it's nighttime outside. No, dynamic lighting isn't just going to be based on time of day. I won't spoil too much more because I don't want to overstep here, but just think of what else can affect lighting outside of just simply time of day. It goes much deeper than that, and I think that just shows the attention to detail that they paid to this game. We'll find out more about that really soon. Now, if you want to know some of the other big features for Dynasty and Road to Glory that we do already know, make sure to check out this video right here on the screen.